All right, so are you ready to dive deep today?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Today we're going to be looking at Gizi 333, also known as Dav,
Yeah.
and his really fascinating work over the last decade blending Taoism and Hermeticism.
Yeah, and what's so cool about his approach is that he takes these ancient philosophies and makes them super accessible. Like, he really breaks it down in a way that anyone can understand and relate to.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be drawing from a couple of his YouTube videos where he just lays it all out.
I love those videos.
So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, I think a good starting point is Dav's definition of the Tao. He describes it as how things happen, like the underlying principle of all creation.
Like the source code of the universe, right?
Exactly. And the fascinating thing is that understanding the Tao is not just about some ancient philosophy. It's about recognizing how everything is interconnected and in constant flow and change. Dav believes that by tapping into this universal principle, we can gain a much deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Okay, so how do we actually tap into that?
Well, Dav emphasizes meditation as a key. He suggests that by quieting the mind, we can observe the world without all our usual filters and biases.
It's like hitting the pause button on all that mental chatter, right?
Right. And when you do that, you become a more aware observer. You start to see things more clearly, and that clarity can then help us see the interconnectedness that Dav's talking about, the way everything influences and is influenced by everything else.
It reminds me of something else Dav talks about, the dance of opposites.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
He talks about polarities where every action has an equal and opposite reaction. He gives the example of how striving for beauty can inadvertently create ugliness, or how an obsession with living can actually lead to a fear of dying.
Right, it's like the universe is always trying to find that balance.
Yeah, and Dav's not saying we shouldn't strive for things, but he's cautioning us to be aware of the potential for imbalance and approach things with a sense of moderation and harmony.
Definitely.
And this whole idea of balance seems to tie into what Dav says about leadership, particularly his description of the wise leader.
Absolutely.
He says that a true leader doesn't force things to happen, but allows the natural flow of events to unfold.
It's all about aligning yourself with the natural order of things, the Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or non-action. It's not about being passive, but acting in alignment with the Tao.
Have you ever been so fixated on a problem that you just couldn't find a solution?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
And then when you finally let go and relaxed, the answer suddenly came to you.
Oh, yeah, that's totally Wu Wei in action.
It's wild. So instead of trying to control everything, a wise leader facilitates, guides, and nurtures rather than dictates, right?
Exactly. Dav emphasizes the importance of being receptive and responsive rather than imposing a rigid agenda. It's about working with the natural flow of energy rather than against it. This idea of yielding and allowing things to unfold naturally is a recurring theme in Dav's teachings.
And speaking of yielding, he also talks about the importance of embracing emptiness and silence, both within ourselves and in group settings.
That's such a powerful concept, especially in our noisy, always-on world, right?
Yeah. He's challenging us to shift our perspective. Instead of constantly seeking external stimulation, we can find profound wisdom by turning inward and embracing moments of quiet contemplation.
And he even suggests that a wise leader is comfortable with silence, creating space for others to contribute and for new ideas to emerge.
Yeah, that's so counterintuitive to how we usually think about leadership, but makes so much sense.
It really does.
So this idea of finding wisdom in emptiness is fascinating, and it actually leads us into Dav's exploration of Hermeticism, specifically the concept of the all.
Okay, yeah, now we're getting into some really mind-bending stuff.
So tell me about the all. What is it?
Well, Dav describes it as this single unifying force from which the entire universe emanates, almost as if the universe is a mental creation of this ultimate source.
Okay, so how does that relate to our individual experiences? Because it seems almost paradoxical that we're both individuals and part of this unified whole.
Yeah, well, Dav suggests that the illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. And, even modern physics is starting to hint at this idea, especially with quantum entanglement suggesting that particles are interconnected regardless of distance.
So it's like the all is this cosmic web that connects everything, and we're all individual threads in that web.
That's a great way to visualize it. And this concept of interconnectedness leads to another fascinating Hermetic principle that Dav explores, mental transmutation.
Mental transmutation. What is that? Like something out of a superhero movie.
It might sound like science fiction, but Dav explains it as a practice of using mental power to transform yourself and your reality. The idea is that by aligning your thoughts and intentions with the natural flow of the universe, you can influence your reality in really powerful ways. He's suggesting that our thoughts have the power to shape our world.
So it's not just about wishful thinking, but about consciously aligning your thoughts and energy with the creative power of the universe.
Exactly. And this ties back to the Taoist concept of working in harmony with the Tao, or the natural flow of things. Mental transmutation is about using your mental energy to create positive change, both within yourself and in the world around you.
This is all incredibly thought-provoking. I love how Dav seamlessly blends these ancient principles of Taoism and Hermeticism and makes them feel so relevant and accessible to our modern lives.
He really does. And if you're finding this as fascinating as we are, I highly encourage you to check out Geezy333's YouTube channel. It's called Geezy333 Sex Official.
Definitely. You can dive deeper into his teachings and explore all the incredible insights he shares on a regular basis.
You won't regret it.
So now let's talk about this principle of gender.
Okay, but before we jump into that, it's important to understand that this principle goes beyond the physical concept of male and female.
So it's not about biological sex, but something more fundamental.
Exactly. Dav explains it as the interplay of masculine and feminine energies, which drive creation on all levels of existence. It's this dynamic flow of energy between these two fundamental forces that fuels creation on the mental and spiritual planes.
So it's like the cosmic dance of yin and yang, the interplay of opposing forces that brings everything into being.
Exactly. And this principle of gender is really about those creative forces that underlie everything in the universe. It's fascinating how Dav can weave together these seemingly disparate philosophies and make them feel so interconnected.
It's like he's giving us a new lens through which to view the world, a lens that reveals the interconnectedness of everything and empowers us to tap into our own creative potential.
Absolutely, and that's what makes Dav's teaching so compelling. He doesn't just present these philosophies as abstract concepts, but as practical tools for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
It's amazing how Dav can take these ancient principles and make them feel so relevant to our modern lives.
Totally, and it's not just about pondering these philosophies in a vacuum. It's about seeing how they can actually enhance our everyday experiences. Like, remember the dance of opposites we were talking about?
Yeah.
Well, Dav points out that the more we push for something, the more its opposite tends to emerge. It's like that saying, what you resist persists.
Right. The harder you try to control something, the more it seems to slip away.
Exactly. Dav suggests that instead of constantly striving and forcing things, we can achieve greater harmony by aligning ourselves with the natural flow of the Tao.
He uses a really powerful analogy to illustrate this point, right? Something about the nature of water.
Yes. He compares this approach to the way water flows. Water is so powerful it can carve through rock over time, yet it's also incredibly adaptable. It can nourish a delicate flower just as easily.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a beautiful illustration of finding that balance between strength and flexibility, between action and non-action.
Yeah, and this idea of water also ties into what Dav says about leadership.
Right. Absolutely. He suggests that a wise leader embodies this quality of water not by being forceful or controlling, but by adapting to the situation and allowing things to unfold naturally.
So instead of trying to impose their will on others, they guide and facilitate, more like a gardener tending to a garden than a dictator giving orders.
Exactly. Dav highlights the importance of being receptive and responsive, creating space for others to contribute and for new ideas to emerge. He even talks about the importance of silence and emptiness in leadership, which might seem counterintuitive at first.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about leadership. We're so used to the idea of a leader being the loudest voice in the room, the one who always has all the answers.
Right, but Dav challenges that notion. He suggests that by embracing silence, a leader can cultivate a deeper sense of presence and awareness, allowing them to tap into a collective wisdom that goes beyond their own individual understanding.
It sounds like it takes a lot of self-awareness and inner strength to lead in that way. You can't be attached to your ego or the need to be in control all the time.
And that's where Dav's teachings about cultivating inner stability come into play. He emphasizes the importance of knowing who you are and what you stand for, having that inner compass that guides your actions even when things get chaotic around you.
It's like that saying, the stillest water runs the deepest. True strength comes from that place of inner stillness and alignment with the principles of the Tao.
And the beauty of it is that these principles aren't just ancient history. They offer a timeless framework for navigating the complexities of modern life, for cultivating greater balance and fulfillment in every aspect of our lives.
So it's not about escaping the world or rejecting modern society, but about integrating these ancient wisdom traditions into our everyday experiences.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot where ancient wisdom meets modern living, where we can draw upon the insights of the past to create a more harmonious and meaningful present.
One of the things I find so refreshing about Dav's approach is that he doesn't shy away from talking about the more mystical aspects of these philosophies, like mental transmutation and the concept of the all. He manages to present these ideas in a way that feels both grounded and expansive.
He doesn't try to dumb it down or make it sound overly simplistic. He respects his audience's intelligence and their desire to explore these deeper levels of understanding.
And speaking of exploring deeper levels, Dav's YouTube channel, Geezy3333 Off Official, is a goldmine of information for anyone who wants to delve further into these teachings.
I can't recommend it enough. You'll find hours of videos where Dav breaks down these complex concepts in clear and insightful ways, offering practical guidance and inspiration for applying these principles to your own life.
It's like having a personal mentor guiding you through the intricacies of Taoism and Hermeticism.
So, as we continue our deep dive, let's talk about how Dav encourages us to see challenges and obstacles in a new light. Instead of viewing them as roadblocks, he suggests we can see them as opportunities for growth and learning.
It's like that classic Taoist image of the willow tree bending in the wind. Instead of resisting the force of the storm, it yields and adapts, becoming even stronger in the process.
Exactly. Dav emphasizes that real transformation, both individually and collectively, often arises from facing and overcoming challenges. It's in those moments of adversity that we have the opportunity to cultivate resilience, wisdom, and compassion.
So it's not about trying to avoid difficulties, but about shifting our perspective and seeing them as stepping stones on our path of personal and spiritual growth.
He also reminds us that we're not separate individuals struggling alone, but part of a vast interconnected web of life. This realization can be incredibly liberating because it means that our actions, no matter how small they seem, can ripple out and create positive change in the world.
It's like the butterfly effect, where a single flap of a butterfly's wings can ultimately influence weather patterns on the other side of the world. Our thoughts, intentions, and actions all have the potential to create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate sphere of influence.
And this brings us back to the Hermetic principle of mentalism, which suggests that the universe is fundamentally mental in nature. It implies that our thoughts and beliefs have a powerful creative force shaping our reality in profound ways.
So it's not just about positive thinking, but about recognizing the profound interconnectedness of everything and understanding that our thoughts and actions are constantly influencing the world around us.
And Dav also reminds us that we have the power to choose how we respond to those challenges and obstacles. We can choose to react with fear and resistance, or we can choose to respond with courage, compassion, and a willingness to learn and grow.
It's about taking responsibility for our own inner state and recognizing that we have the power to create a more positive and harmonious reality, both for ourselves and for the world around us.
And that's where Dav's teachings on balancing the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves become so relevant. He suggests that regardless of our gender identity, we all have both masculine and feminine qualities within us.
So it's not about conforming to societal stereotypes of what it means to be masculine or feminine, but about finding that harmonious balance between these two polarities within ourselves.
Precisely. It's about integrating the qualities of action and receptivity logic and intuition strength and compassion. This inner balance allows us to navigate the complexities of life with greater ease and grace, responding to challenges with both wisdom and effectiveness.
It sounds like a beautiful vision of what it means to be a fully integrated human being.
And it's a vision that Dav believes is achievable for each and every one of us. He sees us as spiritual beings having a human experience capable of incredible love, compassion, and creativity.
And he challenges us to tap into that potential, to embrace the fullness of who we are, and to use our unique gifts to create a more beautiful and harmonious world.
It's a message of empowerment and hope, reminding us that we have the power to shape our own destinies and to contribute to the collective evolution of humanity. Dav's work is truly inspiring. He weaves these ancient wisdom traditions to empower us to live more consciously and create a more fulfilling reality.
And you know what's so cool about it? It's not about escaping reality or living in some kind of spiritual bubble. It's about engaging with the world in a more conscious and empowered way, using these principles to navigate the challenges of modern life and create a more harmonious and meaningful existence.
Exactly. He encourages us to become active participants in the creative process of the universe, to use our thoughts, intentions, and actions to shape our reality and contribute to the greater good.
And that's what I find so compelling about his message. It's not just about personal growth and self-improvement. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and using our understanding of these principles to create positive change in the world around us.
One of the most inspiring things about Dav is his unwavering belief in the inherent goodness of humanity. He doesn't see us as flawed or broken beings, but as spiritual beings having a human experience capable of incredible love, compassion, and creativity.
He reminds us that true fulfillment doesn't come from material possessions or external validation, but from aligning ourselves with our higher purpose and living in accordance with the principles of the Tao.
It's about finding that inner peace and harmony that radiates outwards into the world, influencing everything we do and everyone we interact with.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Gizi 333's fascinating world, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. How can you apply these principles of Taoism and Hermeticism in your own life? How can you use them to navigate challenges, cultivate greater inner peace, and create a more fulfilling reality for yourself and those around you?
And remember, the journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth is ongoing. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to experience. And if you're feeling drawn to explore these ideas further, I highly recommend checking out Dav's YouTube channel, Gizi 333. You'll find a wealth of information and inspiration there to guide you on your journey.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe by embracing these ancient wisdom traditions, we can collectively create a more harmonious and enlightened world. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.